Hello there guys, this is Gen. This is the new flagship token for the GenTokens community. We launched the day before yesterday and it's looking pretty nice. We haven't yet started any marketing whatsoever. The reason for that is because you need to get your logo, your website address, your Twitter address and your Telegram address. You got to have all that stuff before you do any marketing because you put that stuff in your marketing. So I've done all of that. It's not lovely and I'm going to update it in the future, but it's there. We've got it. So we've got a website that we can link to and it's got information on. I've not done the white paper yet, so we can't do things like CMC and CoinGecko, but at least we can get started on Reddit and all of that good stuff. What I've done today is started adding the token to various coin upvote sites like CoinSniper. What we're going to be doing tomorrow and the next day is beginning our promotional campaign on Reddit. So we're going to be hitting CMS and a few different subreddits. We're going to be getting ourselves trending on there. That always brings in some new holders. So a bit of a heads up. You really want to buy it before those people pump the chart. So that's going to happen either tomorrow or the next day. We got everything ready. I just need to write out the posts. I need to get them up there. I do have a few Reddit accounts that have all got enough karma for CMS, so I'm certainly going to be leveraging those. Right, there's a few things I want to share with you about the token. I want to, run the token through a couple of those token contracts scanners and then talk about what comes back and explain to you various things about what's going on. Right, at the moment, the fee to buy and to sell is 12%. 2% of that is reflected back to holders and the rest, all of it, all 10%, is currently going into liquidity. So that's going over here. Now, the reason it's all going over to liquidity is because this is a little bit low compared to where I'd like it to be. So we're at 24,500 in liquidity, but we're at 167,000 in market cap. So this number really needs to be about 20% of that number. That's the sweet spot. Less than about 15 and your price impact is too high. Over 20% and your price impact isn't high enough, so it becomes too stable and no one makes profits. So we want to get probably around about 18 to 20%. So at the moment we've got 10% all going over to liquidity. Now obviously that means we've got no money going into marketing, but I have set aside money to cover all of our initial marketing expenses. We do have a marketing plan, we know how much it's going to cost, and all the money to pay for all the marketing that we need I have set aside out of my own pocket. So don't worry that all of the fees are going into liquidity. Liquidity is way more important and I can pay for the marketing myself. So that's where we are right now. Obviously going forward, these things will be adjusted. We'll start shifting over money from liquidity to marketing. So we don't want it to become too stable. And eventually we are going to gradually reduce these fees and then we're going to remove them completely. So at some point in the future, the marketing fee is going to be zero. And the liquidity fee is also going to be zero, which means the token, when it processes the fees, is never going to sell itself and put a red candle on the chart just to get marketing money, because that's going to be coming from somewhere else. It's not like we're giving up on marketing and liquidity. We're still going to have it and we're going to have a lot more of it, but we're going to feed it from somewhere outside of the token. And we're having nothing coming from this token to feed that. So I want to talk about that in a bit because that is the unique thing about this token. But first of all, let's head on over to CoinSniper, where we listed the token yesterday. Here's the new logo that I made the day before yesterday. I quite like it. I'll tell you what, it took me so long to come up with a logo that I liked. And you look at it and you think, man, that took 2 minutes. Yeah, that took 2 minutes. But the idea to get to that took about 10 hours. So I've got so many scribbles, but I'm happy with this one. I like it quite a lot. And in fact, I like it so much that I've even changed my Telegram to it. So I think it's just nice and clean. So yeah, this is us on CoinSniper. So we're going to go on their Scam Sniper checker and have a look what it says about the contract. There are going to be several things that flag up on this. So I'm going to talk you through them. It's a medium risk at the moment. So let's see why. So it's not a honeypot, obviously, people can buy and sell. It never gets the sell tax right, never on these things. So buy and sell is both 12%. But if it needs to process the fees in the contract, that will happen on a sell. So it might be taking into account the additional gas that it might need to do that if processing the fees is triggered on the particular cell where they check it. I don't know, but it's never right, this isn't. But yeah, it's 12%. So we're going to go through each one of these and see what it comes back as. So let's go over to this one first of all. And right, we'll take it one at a time. There are 150 holders, so we're very, very new at the moment. The supply is 200 million and we have not burned any tokens. However, the contract is truly deflationary. If I send tokens to burn, this number will go down. Now that's very unusual, so much so that you will not see other contracts that do this. Contracts I make do it, and contracts that Mark of Mind Music and Talent Token, they do it as well. But I tell you what, I don't think I've ever seen another token do it. Normally, if you send tokens to burn, it's just like sending them to a wallet that holds them forever. It doesn't reduce the supply. But in my situation, if I was to burn tokens, the supply would reduce. Now, that's not part of our plan or part of our tokenomics, but in the future, we might do it. We'll see. If we reduce the supply, it means that all the money in the pot is being shared over a reduced number of tokens. So that means the tokens in your pocket increase in value, which is nice. That's why I make my tokens deflationary, because it enables you to give everybody value. It works in a really similar way to reflections. You just share value out amongst all the holders. Right, is it a honeypot? No, it isn't. And here it thinks the sale tax is 14.1. So you can see it's a bit erratic, but the sale tax is actually 12%. Right, next up. This is the owner wallet. The contract is not renounced. No, of course it isn't. That would be idiotic. Right, if you ever see that a contract is renounced and this goes green saying this is a good thing, that's not a good thing. That should be a big red flag for you. These days, pretty much only scammers renounce their contracts because they want you to think that it's safe because it's renounced. Renouncing doesn't make it safe. It makes it inflexible. It means you can't go in and adjust anything. So at the moment, we've got 10% going to liquidity and 0 going to marketing. If I renounce, over a very short amount of time, that 10% going into liquidity is going to be too much and the token would become too stable. So it means if you bought it and people bought it after you, it wouldn't go up in value. There'd be no point holding it at all. And obviously I'd have no marketing money. Equally, if my liquidity was too low and I renounced and I couldn't increase the liquidity, we'd have massive price volatility that would just keep getting worse and worse. Renouncing a contract is completely dumb and stupid. No responsible developer will ever renounce. What this box should be here is developer doxed. That's what it should be. And then it should be like just a red or a green. Either you're doxed and you've proven yourself on previous contracts and that's a green, or you're not doxed and you've done a load of scams and that would be a red. So yeah, I really, really wouldn't pay any attention to ownership renounced. That is very irresponsible. Next, dev wallets and information. Right, I had 45% of the supply inside the developer wallet. But those tokens are locked on a vesting period of 10 months, opening 10% at a time over the next 10 months. So in 1 month, 4.5% will become unlocked, ongoing until like October, November sort of time. The reason I've done that is twofold. First of all, some of these tokens need to be airdropped to previous holders, but not yet. They'll be airdropped in the future. 20% of the initial supply is earmarked for being airdropped. The other 80% is to go into liquidity. Now, some people were airdrop tokens previously, but they were bought at market price. So they've already gone into liquidity. 20% is being kept out for those airdrops in the future. If you put 100% of your tokens into liquidity, your price is too stable. So putting 80% in and doing something else with the other 20% is always a good idea. I'm earmarking those tokens to airdrop them to holders of other tokens that I've made in the past that are now dead. I've already taken a snapshot of those tokens and the value people have in them. I know what people are going to be getting when I airdrop them. So don't go buying old tokens that I'm not supporting anymore, thinking you'll get an airdrop in the future on this one. That won't happen. I've already allocated who's getting what, but that's what that 20% is for. So the other 25.57%, those have got to be paired with BNB and they've got to be put into liquidity. The only reason they're not in there already is because I ran out of money. So this token was deployed to replace the HODL Elon token. So that means I had to airdrop all the people that were holding HODL Elon, which is what I've done when I launched. It also meant that I had to match the price of that token. Now, unfortunately, that token had burned liquidity, so I couldn't draw the liquidity out to add it on this token. So all that has just gone. What I did do is I managed to get some people to send me tokens that I sold to drain out some of the liquidity. That got me 12 BNB. However, I needed a lot more. I added 31 BNB into the liquidity on this contract, and I also had to add 5 BNB originally on HODL Elon, which also came out of my pocket. So this one is kind of rinsing me dry a little bit. I've had to dig very deep into my own pockets, and there isn't anything left. So I couldn't add all of the tokens to liquidity at launch. I just ran out of money. So those have been locked. When they unlock, I will be adding them to liquidity. I have money coming in all the time from various contracts that I've written. Money will be put aside so that when these tokens unlocked, I can pair them with BNB and I can put them where they're supposed to be. If for whatever reason I can't afford to do that when the tokens unlock, I'll just relock them again until I can afford to do it. So that's what those tokens are for. So that's going to happen over the next 10 months. Now, even though I've had to put a lot of money into this, and it's kind of completely bled me dry, I did put money aside for the marketing. So the fact that we've got 0% going into marketing at the moment doesn't matter. I've got money set aside that is allocated for the marketing, which is why I'm very happy to have the 10% of the fee going to the liquidity at the moment, because stabilizing that is much more important. Going forward on this contract, the reason that we're able to remove the fees on this is because my developer fees in future contracts that I create, 50% of them are going into this token. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Right, let's move on. So liquidity information. Oh, hang on, there's something else in here, isn't there? I'm also holding 0.32% of supply. I bought those yesterday because I want to use them for a giveaway on Gleam. But I don't know whether to do that. I don't know whether to do the giveaway giving away the tokens or whether to just do it giving away BNB. The last time I did a giveaway and I was giving away tokens, it started off with $100 worth of tokens when I set up the giveaway, and the giveaway ran for about a week, and the token went completely nuts in that week. So by the time I had to give them away, they were worth like $2,000 or something. So when you give them away and the person gets them, they just sell them and take the money and run. So it didn't look very good on the chart. So I'm probably not going to use those tokens for giveaways. I'm a little bit undecided. What I might do, being as I'm now holding them, is pair them with BNB and chuck them into liquidity rather than having to wait for the others to unlock. But I'm going to be setting up some giveaways on Gleam. But yeah, I do think it'd be a better idea to give away either money or kind of like physical products like an iPad or something. But that's on the way. So we've got CMS coming first. That happens within the next couple of days. But obviously we had to set up the website and get all the links and everything before we could put the CMS post up, because we need to put all that information in. Then we're going to be setting up some Gleam giveaways. Then we're going to be doing things like CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. But those things have to wait because they have very specific requirements that we don't meet. So we're not going to apply yet because it takes them a long time to kind of check your application, and if you don't qualify, they just come back and say no, and that's kind of doesn't look good on you for when you try and apply a second time. So I know the boxes that need ticking before they will accept us, so I'm going to make sure all of that stuff gets done first, then we're going to apply. So we need more holders, we need our market cap to be higher, and they're also, CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko are very strict about the information that you put on your website. So I've not done the white paper yet, so that's got to be up there, and although we've got a roadmap, it needs to be more detailed. I have doxed myself on the website by linking to my socials, like my LinkedIn, but we are going to be doing a KYC audit, and I'm going to be attaching the audit to the contract and putting that on the website as well. So in order to get on CMC and CoinGecko, we got to do that stuff first. Once we've done all of that, we're going to be ticking all of their boxes, and then when we apply, we're going to get listed rather than them refusing us, which is incredibly frustrating. So there's quite a lot of things that we do need to do. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, Tokens get listed immediately. Surely it's not that difficult. Yeah, they fast track it, which CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap do not permit, but there are insiders which will take $20,000 of your hard-earned money and they'll list you anyway. If that happens, and they find out that that happened with your token, they'll remove you. And they can prevent you from being relisted. So it's never a very good idea to fast track just in case they remove you in future. And there's no guarantee. So if you pay someone 20 grand to get you listed, they could come back and say, sorry, mate, you didn't qualify. Now, the other thing that happens whenever you deploy a token is you get bombarded with people who say, I can get you fast track listed on CMC and CoinGecko and you pay after listing. Now, all those people do is they apply in exactly the same way that you would. And if you happen to get listed, they say that they fast tracked it because they're an insider, and then they charge you upwards of $6,000. Basically for doing what you were going to do for free anyway. So we're just going to do it the proper way at the right time when we qualify, because I would much rather spend that money that you could fast track with on other things like AMAs. You can't do an AMA with a crypto influencer for free the natural way, but you can do CMC and CoinGecko. So you need to pay for certain things. So we're going to be paying for the things we have to pay for and doing the things the right way for free that can be done for free the right way. So that's how we're going to go forward. So if you jump into our Telegram and say, when CMC? We'll do CMC when we qualify and we know that we'll get listed. So let's move on. Liquidity Info. This one gets a little bit of a warning because we don't have over 95% of liquidity burned or locked. We've got 87%, which was the initial liquidity. The rest of it, this 6.73%, that is sitting in a wallet that I control. That's the dev wallet. So I can lock that and I will. But that doesn't push us over 95%. The reason being that this here is 5.9%. That's just a holder. That's a person that's holding the token. I have no idea who it is. They've got a max wallet. I saw them do this. I think they did it quite late last night. So they've got a maximum wallet that they've added with BNB to PancakeSwap, which is brilliant. That really helps us. It shows that they believe in the token, they plan to hold long term, and the fact that they've added that to liquidity, I think it cost them between 3 and 4 BNB to pair those tokens. So they're now part of our liquidity pool, and that helps us to stabilize the token. So if that's you, thank you very much. If you are also somebody who is holding a lot of tokens and you want to do the same things, please go ahead. However, it makes this yellow instead of green, because at the moment I cannot lock 95% because this person has over 5%. But this number here will go up every time we process fees, which means that this number will go down. So in, I don't know, maybe tomorrow sometime, they'll have less than 5% and we will have collectively more than 95. So once that happens, I will lock these so that it says that our lock is over 95, and then this will turn green instead of being yellow. So that's the situation that's going on now. I'm just waiting for our amount to accumulate from our 10% fees that are constantly feeding it so that this goes over 95. Then I'll lock them. Top holders. These are the top holders. So none of these are me. These are people that are holding the tokens. So the maximum amount that you can hold is actually 1%, which is 2 million tokens. However, these people obviously have more than 1%. So how is that possible? Well, what they've done is they have bought 2 million tokens. So they bought 2 million, they got taxed, and they topped up and they topped up and they topped up until they reached 2 million tokens. The contract has reflections. So at this point, they are continually receiving additional tokens every time someone buys and sells. And the reflections can always push your balance over maximum wallet. So that's the reason. They bought early, they bought a max wallet, and now reflections are increasing them beyond max wallet, but it's not going up too high. Now in the future, I do plan on removing the reflections. Now this is an idea that comes from Arthur, from Foxgirl. So I heard it from Simon, and I've been crediting Simon for it, but he told me that it came from Arthur. So I'm going to say both of them. Arthur and Simon from Foxgirl were the first guys I ever heard to say, after a certain number of holders, reflections are pointless, so you remove them. I tell you what, that is brilliant, because they really are. Reflections and rewards. At the beginning of a contract, you have a lot of volatility, so there's lots of fees coming in, but there's not many holders. So a few holders are sharing a decent amount of money. And I mean, I've been on a contract before where my rewards, it was a BUSD rewards token, and I was getting such good rewards. It was like having a part-time job. And I was like, all I've got to do is hold this token. But then after a couple of weeks, when there were a lot more holders on the token, the amount that I was getting was just completely worthless. It was like $2 or $3 a week. And I was about number 7 on the holders. So I was pretty damn high up. And I think that pretty much everybody that was above me and a couple of people below me were actually members of the team. So there were not really any real people that were getting more than a couple of dollars. So this was a BUSD rewards token that kind of became completely pointless because the BUSD rewards, although initially were amazing, very quickly became totally shit. So what Arthur and Simon said is if you're taking, say, 2% and you're redistributing it to holders as reflections, once you've got over maybe 5,000 holders, nobody's getting hardly anything, so it's worthless. And really, reflections only benefit the people that buy first and the whales. So if you buy first and get a max bag, you get the most benefit. But if you buy late and you only have a little bit, they don't benefit you at all. So it makes a lot more sense to take that 2% and instead of having it diluted amongst thousands of people, have it all together in one place, benefiting everybody. So 2% extra going into marketing benefits the token much more than every holder getting a couple of dollars a week. So that's what we're going to be doing. We will remove the reflection fee at some point in the future. Now, on this particular token, I want to remove the fees completely that are being swapped for BNB. So that's marketing and auto liquidity. We're going to replace them from an external source. But I was thinking, rather than putting the fees down to absolute zero, which makes your contract vulnerable to sandwich bot attacks, rather than having the reflections, I was thinking of taking that fee in tokens, but all going to one place, and then using those tokens for promotional giveaways, contests, and all of that kind of stuff. So they're going to really benefit us, or pairing those tokens with BNB and chucking them into liquidity. So there's a couple of options that we can do in the future, but our main goal is to reduce our tokens as close to zero as we want to get them. Now, my other option that I'm still considering is actually getting the fees all the way down to zero, but also redeploying the contract with delay timers to protect us from sandwich bots. So that is certainly a possibility. Now, if we do that option, we would also look at bridging over into other chains as well, so like a cross-chain DEX. So we'd be looking at going on to Ethereum and various other networks. So those are certainly ideas that we've got for the future. Now, it's for those reasons that when I locked the liquidity, I've only locked it until the end of February, because there's a good chance that at the end of February, that's around about 5 weeks away, something like that. So around about the end of February, there's a good chance that we're going to be in a position where we could be making some of these adjustments to the contract. So removing reflections, we could just turn them to zero. We can do that right now. But the code for reflections is pretty convoluted within a contract, and it requires gas to be processed, even if it's set to zero. It also requires the contract to go through a loop every time it checks supply, whereas when you don't have reflections, there are no loops in your contract, and the code is just much cleaner. So if we removed reflections when the liquidity unlocked at the end of February, and we redeployed and airdropped existing holders, we could streamline the contract, remove the reflections code, we can add delay timers to prevent sandwich bots, remove the other fees, and make the contract incredibly gas efficient. What we could also do at this time is make sure that every single function is done the way that Certec like. Certec are a little bit picky. They want you to have a mix on absolutely everything. They want you to have safety precautions on everything so that when you use your own functions, you don't use them wrong, which you're not going to do. Nobody else can use them but the developer. But they ask you to put all that stuff in. So they flag lots of ridiculous things on a contract. So if we did redeploy at that stage and we streamlined the contract, which would help gas, we made it cross-platform, we put in the delay timers for sandwich bots and all of that stuff, we'd also make sure that we ticked every box on Certec, and then we'd go for a Certec audit further on down the line. So those are all things that we can do in the future. So when I deployed this, I specifically made it very easy for me to be able to redeploy in the future if we needed to. So we've got an airdrop function in there, which just puts a little bit of dust on everyone's wallet, which automatically updates the reflections on BSC scan and stuff like that. We also have the ability to pause the contract as well. So it would be very, very clean and very, very easy to do. And of course, we only locked the liquidity until the end of February. So we've got the option to either redeploy at that stage or just lock it again. So we've kind of kept our options open to us because this contract will change over time. Now, the main way it's going to change, of course, is to remove those fees. Now, if we get the fees down to 0, which is our ultimate goal, and we have protection from sandwich bots, then we have the possibility of using this token for unlimited use cases. It can be used as an alternative to fiat if there are no fees involved. It can also be listed on exchanges like Binance and be taken more seriously, and it can be traded by people who are doing like swing trading. I mean, I used to trade the tick. You can't do that on a token that's got fees. So it can essentially become a much, much more attractive investment opportunity and taken a lot more serious. So this is why this token hasn't got any gimmicks attached to it. It's absolutely my plan to get this token up there on established exchanges doing what professional, sensible, non-gimmicky tokens do. So I'm not going to be doing things like attaching games to it or NFTs or any of that kind of stuff that you see down here in BSC world. I'm going to be making it a very serious token in future, removing the fees, replacing them from an outside source so that we still have marketing funds, and then introducing some serious use cases where this token can be used in place of fiat. So that's the plan going forward. It is a serious token. I'll tell you what, I honestly don't think I'll ever make another token for myself. Which is why I've said this is kind of like the flagship token and why I called it Gen. It's like, if you love it, stick your name on it. So that's what I've done. So that's the plan going forward. But obviously, I am continuing to make tokens for other people. Now, I'm not committing to say I'm never going to make another token for myself, because all the time there are new things that come out and Solidity code changes and stuff like that. So in the future, we might be able to make something that we can't make now that's so exciting, I can't resist it. So you never know. But yeah, that's the plan with this one. And of course, we've also got those tokens set aside in that wallet, that 20% of tokens, which is going to be giving value to people that have held previous tokens that I created. So most of the tokens that I've created in the past, unfortunately, I did burn liquidity to protect the buyers, and that's backfired on me a little bit now, because if the liquidity was locked and not burned, I could get the liquidity out and redeploy or just do something for you guys that were holding those tokens, where in this situation, anything that I want to do for people that have held my previous tokens, I've got to dig into my own pockets, and they're not that deep. So yeah, that's the situation I've found myself in with this token. Right, so that's this kind of like thing sorted. Obviously, of these points that are problems, this one will be fixed as soon as we've got enough liquidity to be able to lock over 95%. This one's not a problem. This one will be fixed over 10 months when this opens up and I add it to liquidity and distribute the other 20%. This I can fix straight away. I just need to throw these tokens into liquidity with a little bit of BNB, so that's not a problem at all. This one will never ever be anything other than yellow, because I'm not so stupid as to renounce a contract. That would be idiotic. This is fine. This as well will turn green as we gradually reduce the fees. So we do plan to remove the fees, but we will gradually reduce them over time as money is coming in. So all of these, I mean, eventually this is going to be all the way at the top and nice and green, and it will say, lovely jubbly, go and buy a big bag full. So that's where this is heading, but at the moment we do have this warning thing going on. So I don't know what's going on with this. So obviously token sniff, I'm not a robot. I'm sure a robot could tick a box. They're pretty clever, aren't they? I'm not sure they could identify, I'm still not a robot. I don't know what's going on with token. Oh, here we go, it's working now. So the smell test. Buy fee is less than 10%. No, it's 12. This thinks the fee is 13.9. These two things will be less than 10% in future. I can change the buy and the sell fee independently. And I was thinking about having like a little bit of a lower tax opportunity for people to buy in, like having a couple of hours of reduced tax and doing one of those things where you say whoever buys the most in the next couple of hours is going to get like a prize, something like that, to kind of like get a little bit of hype going on. So I've got the ability to adjust the tax on the buy and the sell independently. Ownership not renounced. Yeah, obviously not, because that's idiotic. Tokens locked, 45%. Owner is less than 5%. Yes, I am. Less than 5% of supply for all holders. Yeah, it's 1%, but obviously a couple of people have gone over. At least 95% of liquidity burned or locked. Right. Apparently, we've burned and locked 166% of our liquidity. So I've got no idea what this is doing. Similar contracts, nope. All the contracts that I write are completely unique. I spend a lot of time crafting contracts specifically for whatever it is that I'm doing. I don't do copy pastes and redeploys, so there are no similar contracts. And I'm always developing them as well. Every time I write one, there is something that I think, I could have done this, and then that ends up being in the next one. And it's already happened on this. There is something in this contract that I was thinking, it would have been better if I'd have done this. And it will be on the next one. So I'm always developing them. That's one of the things I love about being a dev. So yeah, that's all from Token Sniffer. Thanks. I don't know why it's got problems. I don't know why this shouldn't have been clickable. So let's have a look at this one. So Stay Safu. It's probably going to be exactly the same situation. So if it is, I'll just gloss over it and then we can jump into some other things. Oh, almost 69%. That would have been nice, wouldn't it? So the ownership of the contract isn't renounced. No, of course it isn't. The owner of this smart contract can modify the trading fees of the token. Yes, I can. And that's really important. So that's it. That's all they're going to give us. If you want to pay $1.95, they'll do a full scan, but I'll tell you what, it'll just be a load of bollocks. Don't ever pay this. The stuff that they come back with, it's really not useful. Also, it's kind of like, it really doesn't matter what's in the code. As long as it's not a honeypot, it really doesn't matter what the code says. What matters is the dev. If the dev is genuine and honest and they've got a proven track record and they ain't going to fuck you over and they've got marketing planned for the future and a use case and all that good stuff, buy the token. If they're not, don't buy the token. If they're a scammer that's made 1 million tokens that all rooked, don't buy the token. Right, let's jump into, we'll get rid of this and this. And I'm going to jump into the website. So I did make a new logo, which is this one. We've got a new Twitter page. We've got our Telegram. This links back to my YouTube. This links to the contract code. And this links to PooCoin. That's the contract address. I've made the website a subdomain of my main website. So my main website is GenTokens.com. If you haven't been there, let's go there now. Let's go on a journey. Right, this is my main website. As you can see. So these are some of the contracts that I've created over time. So I made Gallant, Muso, Genius Boy, Champion, Shiba Junior, Fox Girl, Auto Shill, iPay, and then Gen. I've done a lot more than this, but some of them I don't put on here because I've done contracts for teams that I don't know if the team is 100% genuine. So I've not really included those people. But I mean, I wouldn't make a contract for anyone that I know is a scammer. That would be crazy. But if they don't dox to me, I don't really know that they're genuine. Even if I trust them, I can't really extend that trust by recommending their code, can I? That'd be silly. So yeah, we have now got this token and Genius Boy on here. I've removed our previous tokens because these are tokens that I'm not really putting a great deal of work into at the moment. So I've got plans for them, but I don't want people to be clicking on links and going and buying them now because some of the plans are going in one direction and some of the plans are going in the other. So I need to see what is happening with those, particularly with Lucky Gen, because at the moment it's not actually legal because I'm not permitted in quite a few places to do giveaways. So that one seriously needs to change. So yeah, I am aware that some people are holding tokens that at the moment look like they're a little bit stagnant. All of them are still tradable, but I want to do things with them. So that's why I've removed them from this site for the time being. Now, if you want a token making, click on this button and send me an email. And part of my developer fee for the token I'd make for you would be feeding Gen. So that's one of the things that feed Gen. So if I go back over to the main Gen website, Here you can see that's what we're doing. So I am a Solidity developer. I make a lot of tokens. Each token that I create includes a fee in the tokenomics that is going to feed Gen. So bear in mind that this is my job. My job is being a Solidity developer. I don't go to work, I do this full time. 50% of my future income is going to be feeding this token. And also I did put a huge amount of money out of my pocket into the initial liquidity, which kind of means if anyone's in my Telegram group footing on this token, even very softly, I'm going to be kicking them out pretty bloody fast. There's a lot of my money gone into this and a lot of my future income also going into this. I will not allow anybody to foot on this project in any way that's going to be detrimental to its growth. This project is far too valuable for me. Right, so moving on, these are some of the benefits that we've got when we reduce the fees on Gen. So I'm not going to read through this, you can read it yourself, but to reduce fees is much more important to a token, its future, it being taken seriously, it being used on professional use cases going forward than having fees into a token. I mean, there's no way that we can expect a token to get onto an exchange like Binance with a 12% fee. It's just not going to happen. We also can't expect a token to be used in replacement for fiat if that token has fees involved. So reducing the fees opens a lot of doors. It enables our token to be taken much, much more seriously. So I'm kind of hoping that you can see the impact of that. So at the moment, this is explaining the tokenomics, but I've gone through that for you already. Now we've got a link here to the wallet that I mentioned. It's got 45% of the supply in it. So if you wanted to go and have a look at that on DXL, you can. We've also got a link here to the locked liquidity. But as I said, it's only locked until the end of February. When it unlocks, there is the chance that I might redeploy the token with the changes I've mentioned, like removing the reflection code and then moving forward with a much, much cleaner contract. And I've specifically written the contract to make that very easy to do and a nice, seamless process if we decide to do it. If we decide not to do it, then I'll simply relock those liquidity tokens and we'll continue as we are. Now I can obviously just turn the fees to zero on the existing contract. It's just that if we go forward with the contract with the fees at zero, then I'm always going to have this niggly thing in my head saying that every single transaction is costing slightly more gas than it should because that reflection code is still in there and it still has to run through the code, even though it's running through the code and always coming back with the number zero. It still needs to run the code. And that will piss me off. So I don't like wasting money. I'd much rather make the contract as efficient as it possibly can be. And also there are various things that I would need to add into there to get a brilliant score on Certec. At the moment, there are things that Certec would flag that I think are kind of ridiculous, which is why I don't put them in contracts. So moving on, that's me. I'm actually sitting exactly like that right now. I'm not wearing that t-shirt, but my hand is in exactly that position. Yeah, this is my LinkedIn if you want to find out a little bit more about me. I've had that LinkedIn for God knows how long, 15 years or so. It mentions various of my other businesses. This is my YouTube, but I'm pretty sure you've already found it because you're here watching this video. I am fully doxed. I have actually shown my passport on an AMA before, but I am going to be doing a KYC audit as well, which I'm going to attach to this contract if I redeploy, I'll wait and do it for the second one because there's no point in doing it twice. But I'm also going to be doing the KYC option on CoinSniper. It only costs 1 BNB. And then you get like a little badge next to your token on CoinSniper that says KYC audit confirmed. So I'm going to be doing that as well. But yeah, I'm fully doxed. It's actually very, very easy to find out where I live because I run loads of businesses on the internet. I have done for the past 20 years. And my address is bloody everywhere all over the internet. So I obviously need to be genuine, otherwise I've been a right mess. But I also, aside of doing this kind of stuff, I write various books on spirituality. I write books on the law of attraction, on developing certain mindsets. I was a hypnotherapist for a long time. I've got a very strong moral compass, so it wouldn't be possible for me to do anything scammy. I think if you steal money, you're going to end up having to pay it back through karma in the future, much more than you stole. So the more money it is, the more stupid it is. Like, my moral compass is ridiculously strong. So that is a path that I simply can't go down. Now, I know that a hell of a lot of developers do go rogue. That happens a lot. People get tempted by big numbers and then they suddenly go to the dark side and they run off with a marketing wallet or whatever. Now, when your moral compass is like mine, you can't do that. And it doesn't matter how big those numbers get. The bigger they get, the less tempting they are. Now, spiritual beliefs aside, I also think that everything is recorded on the blockchain. I don't care how much some people keep telling me it's anonymous, they can't trace you if you do these things. I don't believe that. It's all there on the blockchain. And I'm pretty damn sure at some point in the future, someone will be able to press a button and it will go through all of that information. It will find all the people that have rugged tokens in the past and the money they stole off people. It will find where they came in and where that money went out. And it's going to connect that to a person. And yeah, that person might be sitting in a mansion that's been paid by their ill-gotten gain somewhere on a beautiful beach, but they'll get a knock on the door and then they'll be dragged off to prison. And I honestly believe that's going to happen. I really, really do. It's all on the blockchain. Now, the way I put money into the blockchain and the way I take money out of the blockchain goes through Binance. And I had to show them my passport and verify my address and my phone and all of that stuff. You did the same thing. So if I did anything at all scammy, it would very easily be linked to me. And I'm not that stupid. So that's never going to happen. But yeah, I am fully doxed anyway. And it's just not in my nature. I mean, for God's sake, I'll write books about spirituality. That is not the kind of person that steals money in crypto. Moving on, equally as well, I find it really weird when people look at a big project. For instance, iPay. I'm the dev on iPay, and there's quite a lot of things that people think are scammy about iPay, which they're not. It's like Marty and John are also very, very genuine. The project is very genuine. It's got an amazing use case, but people look at stuff they don't understand and they think it's a scam. If you were going to scam, you wouldn't do it on a massive project, doxing yourself and having a business. I mean, they've got a proper registered business. You can find out where they live so bloody easily. It's like the project is so obviously genuine. There are scammers out there, obviously. They deploy an anonymous contract, they add liquidity, you guys buy it, they remove liquidity, and then they rinse and repeat, and they do it over and over and over and over again. If a project is a big project with a docs team, it's very unlikely to be a scam, unless the docs team is a bunch of actors. And we've seen that before, and it's always bloody obvious. Right, at the moment this is empty. I've got 3 contracts I'm working on at the moment that need to be popped into here, and in the future, any token that I create for someone else that has a developer fee that is feeding Gen will be featured in here. So I do get approached a lot for people asking me to make contracts. Some people find me through my YouTube, through Telegram. I've also got a post on Fiverr as well, so people approach me through Fiverr. That's actually how FoxGirl found me, I think. So they approached me through my Fiverr post, and then I did their contract. And then from FoxGirl, that connected us over to iPay because that was connected through Simon. So when people find me and they ask me to do, they ask me to do their contract, part of my fee is in their contract tokenomics, and whatever that might be, half of it feeds into this token. So that's half of my future income from being a Solidity developer that writes safe contracts on the blockchain. I was going to say on Binance, but it's not only Binance. I'm currently working on a contract for the Ethereum network, which I do have a fee inside the contract. It's a 0.5% fee on all transactions. It's a big project as well, so it's going to bring in quite a bit of money. So half of that is going to be fed into Gen. Once that contract goes live, it will be in here. I've done the contract. We are currently working on a few other little bits and bobs, and it's going to be deploying quite soon. So that one will be in here. I also have another token that is going to be deploying at the end of this month, I think, although that's only 3 or 4 days away, so I've got to get a move on with it. That one's going in here as well, and I'm currently in meetings with a few other teams, and we're kind of looking through their use case at the moment, but they'll be going in here. Now, as I said previously, I do write a lot of contracts, so it's not going to be long before all of those fees on all of those other contracts feeding this one enable us to completely remove our marketing fee and completely remove our auto liquidity fee, because those are fees we can pay for from the money coming in from elsewhere. Now, specifically, those two fees are very important because those are the ones that when they are processed, the contract needs to sell the native token to get BNB. Now, when it does that, it puts a red candle on the chart, and it also lowers the price a little bit. This happens on every contract. They all need to do it. Now, there is a way. There's a guy called Marcel. He's got a few developers that are working with him at the moment, and they're creating a DEX where when the transaction comes in, it can take the fee in BNB before it becomes a token. So he can take the fee, add liquidity, or do marketing without making a red candle, which is lovely, but it still takes the fee. So the buy ends up being whatever the fee is. If the fee is 10%, the buy is only 90% of what it would have been. So although there's no red candles on the chart is growing slower than it would at exactly the same rate as a normal chart would grow. But a normal chart is kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because 100% of the buy goes on the chart. But then when you sell the fee back, 10% comes back off. So it's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So let's pop over to our chart for a second, because if there's a chance that someone's sold and the fees are processed, you'll see what I mean. Oh no, we've only got buys at the moment. Bit of a shame. I was hoping someone would have just sold. So when someone does sell, you'll see roughly every 10 transactions, it will process fees. And you'll see over here the timestamp, there'll be 2 sales in exactly the same second. And if you click on the transaction for them, you'll see stuff that says like Pancake LP, which is the contract processing the tokenomics to make liquidity. So when it does that, one of the transactions, I think it's the second one. So you'd see 2 exactly the same. One of them is the contract processing the fees. So it comes up here as a sale. It looks like a completely normal sale. So the fees accumulate on the contract over time. And then at roughly every 10 times that's happened, the contract sells the tokens to get BNB. That makes a sell appear down here, and it puts a red candle on the chart, which nobody likes. And then, we're about to get a new all-time high. And then that creates the marketing money and the BNB for auto liquidity. Now, with what we're going to do, obviously that money is going to be coming from other projects that I create, that I do the contract for, which are completely external to us. So that's going to feed our contract. So in our situation, we will get to a point quite quickly where we do not need the contract to sell its own token to get BNB for pay for its own marketing, which will be lovely. So it's no longer going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back on the chart, green candle, red candle, all the way up. It's just going to be marching forwards. So that's what we've got to look forward to. I think that about wraps it up. So that's where our partners will be. I'll just quickly go through our roadmap. So we've got some things that are ongoing that we'll be doing all of the time. So obviously developing contracts for other people. Now, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about this, so I'm not going to mention any names or say anything. I probably am allowed to talk about it, but I'm not sure if he wants to announce it yet. But someone that I did a contract for has a launch pad that is almost ready. I spoke to him yesterday on Telegram, and he says, I was just about to send you a message. We're 75% done. We'll be ready very soon. There's a few little updates I've got to do, but his website looks spectacular. He's made a game. He's got various different bits and bobs going on, but he is supplying an absolutely incredible launchpad service that I think is amazing. Not only does he support you to develop a token and deploy it safely, avoid bots and all of that kind of stuff, but there is a package where we also pay for your liquidity and we also pay for marketing, including CMC and CoinGecko fast track listing. So that's going to be amazing. It really is. I am the developer on those contracts. So when I'm developing those contracts, there is a fee in those contracts that comes for me. And what he's created is truly spectacular. It's going to attract a lot of very good projects. So when I get my developer fee on those, 50% of it is going to be feeding this. And I've also got all the people that approach me directly as well. I do have a queue of people waiting for contracts, and there are 3 that I am currently working on that will come out soon. So we are going to have a lot of money going into this contract from external sources. It's going to be very easy for us to get a lot more money like that than it would be from just having fees in our own token. So the benefits are not just that we can get our fees down to zero, but also that the money that we have to spend on things like marketing or putting extra liquidity in is much more than it otherwise would be, because we're not limited by our fees in our contract, which is beautiful. So yeah, we're going to be reducing the fees. We're going to be auto shilling. I've got some bots and about 30 Telegram accounts that I've set up for shilling in Telegram. I only use them where you're allowed to use them, and I have very strong restrictions on them so they don't spam the hell out of places. I'm not a fan of bots, as you guys know. I'm very opinionated about bots that are used on contracts. I write code to protect them, and I do think they're destroying crypto, but I'm also a big fan of automation. Now, promoting our token in shilling groups that allow you to promote it, I'm all up for using a bot to do that instead of wasting my time doing it manually. So I've actually got a separate laptop specifically for that purpose, for feeding Telegram. So that's going to be set up quite soon. I haven't got that set up just yet because I did need to get like the logo, the website address, Twitter address, and all of that stuff in order to put that into the shill message. But I'm going to be setting that up over the next couple of days in conjunction with CMS. So we're going to be doing ongoing promotions on YouTube, of course, as well. Because this is now our flagship token, I'm going to be talking about it a lot. And in fact, every single time I upload a video about anything at all, talking about code or whatever it might be, I'm going to do a little bit of a plug for this token. Only short, I'm not going to get too spammy on this. I know this video is long because I'm explaining how the token works, but I am going to be doing future videos talking about code and various different bits and bobs. And I will mention this token on every future video that I make, which is free advertising. My channel is growing quite nicely at the moment. I've got about 8,000 subscribers. But I do need to get back on the ball with some informational and educational videos. I'll tell you what, when I first launched this token as HODL Elon, the way I deployed it, I think, is the best and the safest and fairest way of deploying a token. So I want to make a video on that, because if everybody deployed like that, then bots would no longer be a problem, because bots cannot touch it. And it is the safest way. It's the fairest way. It really is. So I want to talk about the way I deployed that token so that other people can copy the idea, because I genuinely think it's the way all tokens should deploy. It's brilliant. I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but it is. It is brilliant. It was my idea. It is brilliant, and everyone should do it. I'm going to make a video about that, and when I do, obviously I'm going to talk a little bit about this as well. I'm also going to be doing AMAs. I've had a chat with FoMotion. I really like him. He's a really nice guy. His channel's growing really quickly as well, and he deserves it. He puts a lot of effort into his videos. He edits them. He goes and looks at the website and stuff. He is one of my favorite crypto influencers. I also like Cowboys Crypto, but I'm going to be chatting to those two guys as well as some other influencers. We're going to be talking to some influencers on TikTok and various other things as well. So all of that's going to be ongoing. Stuff that we can do right now, some of it we already have. Design the logo, we've done that. Creating the website, Twitter and Telegram, those things have been done. I haven't done the shill messages yet, but that's on my list of jobs to do over the next couple of days. I also haven't done the promotional tweets, which I've done one, but I need to do more. And I'm also working on some images as well, and some open graph tags for Twitter campaigns. So I'm going to be working on those so that the image kind of has all the information about the token. It's very easy for people to use these for shilling. I have made quite a few videos that are featuring kind of like our logo and stuff like that, which are working quite nicely. In fact, I'll show you on our Twitter, one of the ones that I like because it suits really well. I mean, I'm just using video templates, but if we go over to... So this here, you've probably seen it before because it is a template. The idea of this token is other tokens feed it. So it's constantly getting money coming in from elsewhere. So this, I like this one. It amused me. I tell you what, you can't argue with Google, can you? So let's get back. So yeah, I like this because it's a graphical representation of how our token works. We are being fed by other tokens all the time. And the other one that I posted, I think I did another one. Maybe I didn't post it on Twitter, but yeah, just a logo on a flag because it is the flagship token. So those videos were a little bit of fun. They're very quick and easy to do. You just pick a template, upload your logo, put your information in, press a button, it processes, and you wait and then download it. So I'm kind of going through the templates and picking the ones that I like. But this kind of stuff works really well when you've got a bot shilling in Telegram, because videos like this do grab people's eye. So that's what I'm working on at the moment, just getting a load of this kind of stuff done. They work well in Twitter as well. So that's on my list of things to be working through, which we are. It's not that one, it's this one. So all this stuff is ongoing at the moment because we can do it without having a certain number of holders. We've already done coin sniper, but we're going to do a lot more of them as well. I want to make a sticker pack for the token as well. So that's something that we're going to be working on. Once we get to about 500 holders, we're going to be working on the socials that we've got to be. If you add your socials on BSC Scan too early, it takes them like about 3 or 4 weeks to do anything. But if you wait for a couple of weeks and you wait until you've got over 500 holders, or preferably about 2,000 holders to be honest, then you apply, it only takes a couple of days to get added on there. So it makes much more sense to wait a bit. What that means is on BSC Scan, you'll have our little logo and you'll have links to our website and stuff like that. I can't do it yet because I know that if I do it now, it won't appear for several weeks. So if I wait a little while, then I do it, then it'll work. I'm also going to be introducing some social media managers like the Gen Army. So I have kind of picked a few people that I've been very impressed with. A few of them know who they are, others don't, that I am going to be rewarding them for doing things like managing our social media accounts. So I'm going to be putting somebody in charge of my Twitter account, my YouTube and stuff like that, so that they can keep on top of stuff that I think is important to be active, because if it's not, you look like you don't really care. I am extremely busy and I can't do all of this stuff all of the time, so I need help doing it. So I've got people that are going to be doing, tweets for me and stuff like that, just to make sure our accounts are much more active than I can do by myself. So yeah, there's a few people who I completely trust, and I'm going to have those people are helping me out. Also stuff like answering comments on YouTube or deleting idiots' comments on YouTube that just start crying about scams all the time when they've got no idea what they're looking at. So yeah, either correcting those people with the truth or just getting rid of them, because there are people that whatever you do, they will continually think that it's all a scam. And I waste a huge amount of my time with these people, and they make it not nice. They extinguish my passion for crypto. So yeah, I've become less tolerant of them, as many of you will have noticed if you've been in any of my groups recently. But yeah, I used to spend a lot of time talking to them. I still do in DMs, but that's going to end. So positive vibes, keeping everything positively focused. If I'm involved with it, it ain't a scam. If you've not learned that yet, then you need to get with the program. If I'm in, then me, bring stuff into the group and start fudding in the group about it because you don't understand it. Go and do your research, and obviously you will always discover that it's genuine, because it always is. And if you think it's a scam, you've not done your research properly. You don't know what you're looking at, you don't understand it, otherwise you wouldn't have come to that conclusion, because I can guarantee you it's never going to be dodgy. So just keep on researching. It's all there, everything's there, it's all recorded on the blockchain. Right, so after 2,500 holders, we're going to be doing CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. There's a couple of other requirements as well. So this isn't, it's not like as soon as we get 2,500 holders, we're definitely going to do this. We've got to have our white paper and all of those things in place, but I'm pretty sure we'll have them by then. And we're going to be looking for other respected platforms. We are going to be removing the reflections because, as I said before, they become far too diluted. And if we keep the 2% fee, then that would be better somewhere else. Now, I do like the idea, as I mentioned, of keeping that fee, but having it in tokens. So it's not selling the token to get BNB like a marketing wallet does, but then using those tokens for other things that help us, like promotionals, giveaways, adding liquidity or whatever. When our fees approach 0, which is our ultimate plan, Then we're going to be exploring use case options, because at this stage, we're going to have the ability to use our token in place of fiat. So at that stage, I'm going to be digging very deeply into Web3 and dApps and all of that kind of stuff, and looking at different ways that we can leverage a token that is safe, that doesn't have any fees on it whatsoever, but is protected from sandwich bots, to be used in place of other currencies. So I do want this token to be taken extremely seriously. At the same kind of time, we're going to be looking at situations where we could look at cross-chain options, and also things like staking vaults and those kind of things. So I kind of want this token to be very professional and taken very seriously. So the places that I'm looking at initially are things that are much more serious, much more investment orientated, rather than the gimmick side of like NFTs and games. Now, I'm not completely saying we're never going to do a game or we're never going to do NFTs or anything like that. In fact, we are doing NFTs. Thomas has created some Elon themed NFTs. So we've certainly explored those areas. But for this token specifically, I want to keep things much more professional. But I do like making games. Years ago, I made some apps for the iPhone. I really enjoyed doing it. But I wouldn't do it myself, but I would work closely with decent game developers. But if we go down that path, that's something that we're going to do, way in the future. It's not something that we're thinking about right now. But because of the way this token is being fed from other tokens, then the amount of money coming into it is constantly getting more and more and more. So we're going to get to a point where we've got much more money than we need, which brings us on to this. When I'm saying Jenny's full, it's kind of being fed. So when the marketing wallet and the liquidity and all of those needs are satisfied, the token will be full. So at that situation, what do we use all this extra money for? Well, we're going to be doing buybacks. So the extra money that keeps on pumping into this token, those fees are ongoing. They carry on forever. So they just keep on going. And every time I write a new contract, it's more money coming in. Now, obviously, if those contracts are not successful and they end up kind of dying out, I have no control over them. They're not mine. I just write the contract for somebody else. But obviously, if they're doing well, they bring in more money. If they're not doing well, they don't. But if they end up being a token that does incredibly well, the amount of money that comes in, we reduce the supply. So a buyback puts a nice green candle on the chart and increases the price. So value of the tokens in your pocket goes up. So it's a bit of a kind of a double whammy, doing a buyback and a go. Right, I'm not sure how well that part of the video worked, because the little timer that's carrying up on my screen was stuck for a while there. So I think I've covered everything, so I'm going to close this down. I hope that the end of the video worked properly. I'm not sure if it did or not, but I'm going to chuck it up on YouTube anyway, and I will double check it, and if it's worked okay, then I'll make it live. So that's all from me, guys. This is the new Gen token from GenTokens. It is our flagship token. At the moment we have 150 holders. We are very, very new. You want to be buying, you want to be holding, because this will, at this point, financial. It's about your finances, because you buy it with money and then you make more money. On Gen, you could do worse.